Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 9th ever Flutter Brigade Roundtable. I am your host, Ep9, and once again we have a special guest, and that would be ILoveKPAlot, but for sake of whatever, we're just going to be calling her KP. So, KP.
Hi.
And of course, we have the regulars, Mon.
Hey, everybody.
And that guy who really stinks, Ed.
I'm not even going to bother saying it's a lie like the last 4 times. So yeah, hi everybody. Let's move on.
Come on, you know you love it. Our fans enjoy it. Okay, so our topic this week is going to be 2-parters. We're going to break them down, review them, give them final ratings. But before we do that, we're going to do our usual breakdown of the most recent episode, which was, of course, Equestria Games. So, who wants to start off?
Can I reserve to go last this time, though?
Sure. Ed, that means you or KP is going first. You two can decide.
I'd be more than happy to give the honor to KP to go first if she'd like to.
Sure, I'll go first. I already wrote the script for it, and it's being produced by my team. But anyway, the review for it. But anyway, long story short, a lot of people I found didn't care for it because we had all this build up for, this Equestria Games, and it turns out to be a Spike episode. But I don't really mind because I found Spike kind of interesting this episode, and I like the grandness of the Equestria Games and how they had all the 4 princesses there, and the little touches like the unicorn security camera, not security camera, but the security thing where they disable their magic, and was I see the Crystal Empire again, and so I see the flaws with it, all this build-up, and, we didn't really even need all this build-up because it could have been fine with just, a mention somewhere, before. It's oh, yeah, the Equestria Games are happening. Did you guys hear about it? But as is, I don't mind it, and we've had worse episodes, so I can live. And I do like that the writers are trying to actually do things with Spike's character, it seems like now, than just, he's Twilight's assistant. He likes Rarity. He's just the guy. Something. He's just the character that the writers write about when there's nothing they can write about or they can think of to write about. They're oh, let's just do a Spike episode. What's the worst that could happen? So, I guess that's my 2 cents of it. So, and overall, it was enjoyable, but and I can see the flaws, but I didn't mind it.
I can so much see where you're coming from. I'm on the opposite side. Ed, your thoughts?
Well, I got a lot to say about it. I mean, this is obviously probably based on what I've been reading around the internet and everything, YouTube and other sites. So this is probably one of the most divisive episodes of the season amongst the community. It depends on how you go into the episode, how you look at it going into it. Like what KP said and so many others have said, the very obvious thing. There was a lot of build-up for the Equestria Games. They first mentioned it way back at the end of season 3 in Games Ponies play over a year ago. And everybody started thinking, and it didn't help that we had the huge, gap between season 3 and season 4. We knew it was going to be covered in season 4. Everybody had these grandiose expectations. Oh my gosh, it's going to be the pony version of the Olympics. It's going to be a really awesome story. It's probably going to involve Rainbow Dash and some kind of competition thing or whatever. Then we had a little bit more. It was kind of an overarching subplot in season 4, after, besides the main overarching arc, which was, of course, the Rainbow Keys and the chest and all that involving the main 6. But in Flight to the Finish, the CMC game, the flag bearers and all that, and then later on in Rainbow Falls, they expanded upon it more. And then we don't hear about it again until this latest episode. And it's even called simply Equestria Games. So everybody who hasn't read the synopsis, before going into it, it's oh, this is it. This is a big thing, And then, I can imagine a lot of those people were very disappointed and surprised. It was wait a minute, this is a Spike episode? And then the rest of us going in who actually read the synopsis, because I have a habit of doing that, and because I just can't help myself. And I knew it's going in for 3 or 4 weeks before it was a Spike episode. And it's okay, well, that's kind of odd. Why would the writers do that? But at the same time, let's see what happens. And it turned out, it was actually a pretty good episode to me. I personally think that this is the best Spike episode since Dragon Quest and Secret of My Access in Season 2, because if you think about it, Spike hasn't been characterized too well in episodes like Spike at Your Service in Season 3, and even in Power Ponies, which is kind of debatable whether it's a Spike episode or not. But I like what they did with Spike here. Like, they actually treated him with respect. He wasn't a bumbling fool for once. He seemed like he had an actual purpose, and I loved how, like, going in, like, he just has this massive task thrown upon him at the last minute. Like, he has to light the torch at the Equestria Games. And, I mean, I can totally relate to that stage fright. He's there in the middle of tens of thousands of ponies in the stands with royalty and foreign dignitaries. I mean, the poor guy, no wonder he was struggling to light that thing up. I mean, what would ordinarily be easy for him was really difficult because of that. And he had that performance anxiety and the self-doubt kept building up from that. And even though he kind of got like that prop, through at the Crystal Empire, like he was their, the glorious Spike because he saved their empire by getting the Crystal Heart, which even then is kind of murky if you go back and watch that episode. But still, I mean, and then when Spike's just had that royal screw up like that, and Twilight had to use her magic to cast the torch, and she told him afterwards. I mean, I just felt so bad for the guy. Like he was so let down, and then what was worse when he got overzealous and thought it was like he got the wrong theme song, and then he butchered Cloudesdale's theme song, and that scene was just so painful to watch. I was face palming. It's like, oh my god, why are they dragging this out? This is terrible. I mean, I feel terrible for him. And then, I'm glad that they gave him the chance to redeem himself at the end. Like, I know the Icicle Cloud was kind of like out of nowhere, but at the same time, I don't feel it was forced. I felt like it worked. And it was nice to see that when things really mattered and the situation was dire, Spike was able to just, instead of just thinking, he just reacts. And because he didn't overthink it, he was able to melt that Icicle Cloud when none of the unicorns could use their magic because of the disabling spell, and the Pegasi just couldn't, they weren't strong enough, even all of them together, to keep it away from, colliding into the stadium. So Spike just has that awesome moment and saves it. And even then afterwards, he's feeling, well, yeah, I just did what I had to do. It wasn't anything special. I mean, and I love how the moral was about, if you don't believe in yourself, if you think low of yourself, it doesn't matter how much praise you're going to get. You're still going to feel lousy. And then that's something that has to come from within you. I thought that was a very good lesson. I think it was very well illustrated. And I really liked it. And I really liked the way they characterized Spike in this episode. For the first time in a long time, they did a pretty decent job. And I think it's a step in the right direction, assuming that there will be future Spike episodes in Season 5, which probably there will be. Probably not that many, but we'll see. But overall, I can, at the same time, my only gripe is I would have liked to see more of the Equestria Games. Yeah, because we had all that build up and it was just a Spike episode. Like, the Spike episode on its own merit was good, but I wanted to see more of the actual games. I was hoping to see some kind of drama or some kind of exciting action with Rainbow Dash and competing with the Wonderbolts, and then maybe hopefully seeing, I knew this is probably never going to happen a long shot, but I was hoping we'd get like a subplot involving Lightning Dust and Gilda, like some kind of pact to take out Rainbow Dash, like a revenge thing or something. I don't know. Like, stuff like that would have been nice. It didn't happen, and we got only one episode. I think Equestria Games could have benefited from being a two-parter, or at least give it the same treatment that they gave just for Sidekicks and Games Ponies play in Season 3. They both take place. Spike's story could have taken place on the sidelines at the same time that the main event, the Equestria Games, was going on, and split it into two different episodes. I think that would have been a lot better. If I had been the director, I would have done it that way, but for whatever reason, they didn't do that. But as it is, on its own merit, disregarding that kind of disappointment, I liked the episode. I thought it was a very good Spike episode, and as you know, I gave it an 8.3 out of 10. So, I mean, it depends on how you look at it going in. You can easily be disappointed by it, but if you take the episode on its own merit, I feel, at least in my opinion, that it was a pretty good episode. But yeah, I won't deny the fact that it was disappointing that all that build up and we didn't really get to see much of the games themselves. But other than that, I enjoyed it, so.
Oh, good for you. That was a good synopsis, or
Thank you.
Wow, I still can't see you giving it an 8.3, but everyone, to each his own. But as for me, I just can't let the fact go that we had all that build up only for it to be a Spike episode. So I was kind of, well, I guess you could say I was a little bit biased going into it, but I had hopes that they could do whatever, and I will give them credit. They tried. They really tried, and it is one of the more tolerable Spike episodes for me. I'll give it that. But I'm still going to stick with it being no more than a 4, just because it should have been about the Equestria games only, and there was a lot of stuff in there up to and including the whole thing with Spike saving them at the end that felt really, really forced to me, because throughout the entire episode there wasn't a cloud in the sky, then all of a sudden there's this magical cloud just there, just so the arrow could get shot into it. It seemed kind of forced to me. Mond, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm on your side, Flutters, but I don't know. After hearing those two reviews, I mean, I can see where KP and Ed are coming from. That, yeah, like at the end, yeah, I kind of did. I have to admit, I kind of did like what the moral of the story was. That, you know, you should be confident and that you should sort of, you know, not have. You know, you shouldn't be your own enemy all the time. You shouldn't be working against yourself to always think like, oh, I'm going to fail. Oh my God. You know, you shouldn't always be thinking that, because if you do think like that, yeah, you're going to end up messing up a lot of stuff. But I mean, at the same time, I don't know. I just don't have, I don't see why they had to use Spike for that. I mean, I guess I can see in a weird sort of way why they used him. He's sort of younger than most of the other characters. I mean, he could learn from that lesson a little bit more than maybe, you know, Rainbow Dash or Fluttershy or any of the other characters might have learned from it. But at the same time, I guess I'm getting a little bit tired of them characterizing him in sort of the same way. That he's sort of always a little bit too brash about certain things. You know, I mean, like the whole part with him at the in the anthem, like that, I think that could have easily been avoided. Like, I mean, at this, I'll put it this way. I see why he did it. It was sort of like guilt that drove him to do that. He sort of thought like, oh, I actually failed at lighting the torch. I have to do something to clear my conscience. But at the same time, like, he didn't go in, like, he did that right on the fly. And like, it was so awkward that, like, I don't know, it just bothered me, I guess. I saw it as sort of like, I guess, his moment of hubris. Like, he sort of disregarded what he should have gone in and maybe knowing that the anthems were dependent on who won the competition that was just, you know, recently, you know, that the anthem is played at the end of. But at the same time, yeah, I can see that, like, yeah, that kind of does get you kind of do get like some sympathy for him after that, because yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, yeah, I've had times in my past where I've gotten stage fright like that, and it was just like, oh my God, what do I do? You know, all that stuff. And I don't know, but I still think at the same time that they really are. I guess they don't have, like, the writers aren't having a great time with, in my eyes at least, of like characterizing Spike in some way in certain episodes. Like, I do have to admit, like, that this episode was better than, I think, Spike at Your Service, or even the last episode. I didn't give the last episode a high rating, but I thought this was okay. But at the same time, the fact that that there are certain parts where Spike is like a little overzealous, and he's like, oh, well, let me light this paper on fire with my mind. And it's like, wait a minute, like, where the hell is he getting this idea? Like, that's so out of left field. Like, it's like, if that happened, I would have just assumed, oh, yeah, the flame came out, you know, at the last minute, and I didn't light it with my mind. I must have just actually, you know, I must have been actually able to light it at the last minute. Like, I would have left it at that, but he didn't. But I guess that's, I mean, I guess that's an interesting characterization if you think about it that way. But, I don't know. One of the major gripes that I had with the episode, though, was like the fact that we had to see him sort of, I guess, do something horribly drastic to give him any characterization. Like, he had to absolutely, like, obliterate this ice cloud in order to show that he was, worth something. And I'm like, they could have done that a little bit better. Like, that you don't need something so dramatic, I guess, to, illustrate character. I think that, I don't know, I guess it's because I kind of like minimalism a little bit more than, like, a lot of drama. But, I thought he could have done something a little bit more minor in order to redeem himself, but I don't know. At the same time, I can see why people might have liked, why people like the episode, and I'm not, I don't begrudge him that. I don't grudge him for that, and I mean, but in my own eyes, I couldn't give it that great of a score. I thought it was okay, but at the same time, it just, I don't know. I just couldn't get into it all that much, so I gave it, I guess, a 4.5 out of 10. So it was decent, but at the same time, I couldn't get into it. So
yeah, well, I agree with you. Like, well, as it was determined earlier, that we were pretty much on the same page about the episode. But anyways, enough about that, because we can talk to that till our ears fall off. But let's get into our main topic here, which of course is 2-part episodes. Now we're gonna skip over Friendship is Magic parts 1 and 2 because we've already covered that in an earlier episode. So we're gonna jump right into Return to Harmony. So who wants to start?
Guess I'll start. To be honest, this was actually the first episode that I watched live because I didn't get into the series until season 1 was done. So, yeah, so it was an interesting experience to me. After watching it like not half a dozen times, more than a dozen times at this point. I don't know. I thought that probably was one of the best 2-parters in the entire series because I already gave my thoughts on the by him and like sort of. He, had to do his mind games and everything to, sort of trick them and everything. But I don't know. I thought the pacing for that episode, those 2 episodes was really good because there isn't really that much downtime between all the different events. Like it aren't points that are, sort of stalled for humor or anything else like that. I guess maybe the only place I could consider to be something like that, like where there's a little bit of downtime, is when Twilight, before she actually gets like discorded or whatever you want to call it, she turns gray. Before she actually that happens, she takes the other members of the main 6 to the treehouse, the library, and they're sort of just they're all like messing around with each other, sort of being really really mean to each other. And I thought, I thought in a weird sort of way that could count as downtime, but at the same time, I think it still sort of worked because it all led to Twilight getting more and more frustrated and sort of more and more like why aren't they listening to me? Why are they being so stupid about this about the elements, and why are they being so belligerent to each other? So I thought that even worked, but it was pretty awesome as a 2-parter, I think, because with this, I don't know. We're gonna get into this season's 2-parter, like the only 2-parter that we have so far. But, I thought that there were certain points during the season's 2-parter that you could have cut out, or you could have, maybe shortened. But with the season 2 one, with the season 2 opener, the 2-parter, I thought that was honestly one of the best, one of the high points of the series.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have to agree. As for me, I'm pretty sure I might have mentioned it in one of our other shows, but I gave it a 10 just because, as you said, it was great from start to end. I mean, it started off with the CMC fighting in a garden, which was pretty funny to watch, actually. And it also introduced the whole meme of Sweetie Belle being a dictionary, which, again, is hilarious. But, like, the whole starting of it, it worked. And then all of a sudden you see the statue crack and it cuts to the intro and you're like, well, okay, well, what's going to happen? And then all of a sudden, it's just bam, there's chaos everywhere. There's so much to say. I'm just trying to think of the words to put into. I don't know. Ed, you can take over. I'll think of.
Yeah, let me throw you a lifeline, buddy.
Yeah, bail me out here, please.
Okay, like right going off the bat, I could tell because when I originally going through my first run of watching MLP, I watched it all on Netflix when the first 2 seasons were in because I didn't get into the fandom until like the end of May, June of 2012. So it was already on Netflix, and I remember after watching season 1, I got into season 2 on Netflix, and I noticed there was a change in tone right away. It's like, wow, this season's going to be different than last one. Like, it wasn't just that Lauren was stepping down. It's just like the show is becoming aware of the Brony fandom, and you were throwing a little bit more stuff, more nods at us, and I felt like there was more comedy being put in, and it got a little bit more serious, and a little bit more, I would say more. I don't know, this is kind of a poor way to say it, but more all ages in the tone. I noticed, because if you go back to season 1, it was more of they had the EI standard, which is the educational, informational thing for kids that they do. They dropped that for season 2, and I noticed a difference right away. Discord, I mean, what can you say? I mean, like, a lot of fans know him as Q from Star Trek. I never heard of the guy because I never followed Star Trek until I just went in there. It's like, okay, what's the fuss about this John Delancey guy? And like, I go in there. It's like, wow, he's pretty good as Discord. He's got an awesome voice. He works really well. Kind of reminds me of, I don't know, Tim Curry in a way. I don't know, like the way he just plays the villain, kind of like a comedic way, and like very kind of slapstick, but at the same time kind of threatening. I just think he's one of the best characters this show has ever had. I love how Discord like took the worst personality traits in the main 6, and he just flipped them upside down on their heads. It's like he knew their weaknesses from the beginning, and it's just like fooling Applejack with like the weird kind of acid trip with the apples and all that. It's like, no, your friends they're lying and all that. It's like, look what's gonna happen. You're gonna break up after this if you get out of the maze. Oh my god, and then Pinkie Pie with the balloons is like, your friends aren't laughing with you, they're laughing at you. And that whole kind of like, the way he did his mind games, it was brilliant. And I felt bad for the main stage, but at the same time, I was very amused at the antics going on. And one instance, and in Rarity with the boulder, that was hilarious. Like, no, it's a diamond,
Oh, God, yeah.
It's like, keep your hooves off of it, Twilight. Remember, I know where you live. Like, okay. And then, like, I found it really interesting that Fluttershy was the one that he just could not corrupt. He had to literally, he had to literally like tap her on the head to turn her discorded because like he just couldn't get. It's like, oh, for Pete's sake, you're too kind. You've got to. Just like arrivederci. That was brilliant. And then. Of course, and then besides Fluttershy, Twilight was the only other of the main stars that he wasn't actually able to corrupt. She kind of got corrupted indirectly because when she just kind of gave up, it's like, well, I just can't save them. I'm leaving Ponyville. If it weren't for Celestia's letters all flooding in at that one moment, I mean, the show would have ended very differently and Discord would have won. So, I mean, it was a very solid 2-parter. It's one of the best in the season. I personally rank it as... I had it for the longest time as the number 1 2-parter until the season 4 opener with Princess Twilight. That one is my current number 1, but Return of Harmony is still a very strong second for me in the 2-parters of the show. It was very well done, and I'm glad that Discord stuck around as a character because I think it would have been a huge loss if he had just been a one-shot villain and never came back. And I love how they reformed him. Yeah, he's not evil anymore, but he's still kind of like an anti-hero kind of trickster. You're never sure what he's going to do. So he's a very solid addition to the cast of the show, and I'm glad they kept him. And yeah, Return of Harmony, I mean, it's one of those episodes that's as close to perfect as you can get in the show, without a doubt. So I loved it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad you could put into words what I couldn't, because, oh, man. Oh, I couldn't help it.
All I hear is gosh, 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 gosh.
Somehow I got lost in my own thoughts, and I was just like, I know what I wanted to say, but I was just like, wait, what? I got a lot on my mind.
Like words, I can't find them.
Well, yeah. You gotta understand, like, well, YouTube more than like whatever, and some of our viewers know, I'm in a highly stressful environment right now. There's a lot going on, so my mind wanders easily. But anyways, KP, your thoughts about the Discord two-parter?
All right. I was waiting for this. Anyway, I kind of have to approach the two-parter kind of cautiously because I was a casual brony up till season 3, and well, at least I pretended I was. I probably was until maybe like halfway through season 2. But either way, I've said this before, but I probably wouldn't be as passionate about ponies in fandom if it wasn't for Keep Calm Flutter on. And what's really fascinating about Discord's character to me is that he has that other side, and like it makes me question about like his motives and like where he came from and all. It just it's fangasm. Anyway, so it's kind of contradicting though, because I really like that side of him and others don't, because they think the reform was a bad idea. I mean, we get more Discord, but is he really the same character? He kind of loses his appeal because he's not a bad guy anymore. So, and everyone loves Return of Harmony. So it's just kind of it's like bittersweet to me. And I look back on Return of Harmony and I'm just like, I get it. I mean, I understand why Discord had such this huge kind of cool appeal, but I don't think. I mean, and it was interesting to me, you know, but it wasn't the same. So like, it's very weird looking back on it. But either way, it still was a really good two-parter, just because, like the point that you guys mentioned about how Twilight was going to just give up and just leave, and he was mean and manipulative but in such a passive kind of Joker-like way, and he's a great villain, and it's bittersweet that he was reformed to some people. So, yeah, it definitely would have been like just a loss if they just kept him. And I don't think that, like, I'm sure like if they wanted to keep him as a villain, he would have come back from time to time, but I think it was in the series benefit, not just because I'm very, very biased, but I think it was in the series benefit that he did come back as kind of a anti-hero kind of thing. So that way we could have moments in Princess Twilight Sparkle, and you kind of like you know that, you know, he's not going to turn back, like, you know, Princess Twilight Sparkle, the elements are freaking gone. I mean, that's his connection with Fluttershy is all that's there. So you know, it's something very strong, and that's what really annoyed me in Princess Twilight Sparkle, when he was just like, "Oh, I forgot her name," and then I'm like, how do you do that? if that's the only thing that's stopping you from like doing whatever the hell you want to do. But at the same time, it just he's sorry, you guys could like touch my sore spot, but as it is, Return to Harmony is still a really strong episode. It's weird for me looking back at it, but and I feel like it might be bittersweet for fans, like knowing what Discord could have been. Like he could have been like the big bad of the whole show and come back from time to time, but I don't mind. And he was, and then there's this debate whether he was chaotic or straight up evil, and, you know, chaotic neutral, and so it just, I think that's all I have to say. So it's still a really strong two-parter. It's weird for me to look back on it, and it's weird. I'm sure it's weird for other people just because of potential and different ways it could have gone. But it's still really strong, and it's always nice to see, like, you know, equestrian history and all those really interesting points. And I think I'm done.
Yeah, that's definitely one way of looking at it. However, I never really saw Discord as much as an evil villain, as much as I did see him. I just always thought he was more of a troll character. I always perceived him as the internet's trolling side, but in an actual character. I never really saw him as that much of a villain. So looking back on it, for me, I still see Discord as Discord, because I never really saw him as the super villain that most bronies saw him as. I just saw him as the troll, the guy that just wants to play the jokes on whatever. So, but yeah, Go ahead, Mon.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I could see why they would see him as a supervillain, because if you really look at how he corrupts each of the main six, he gets really psychologically, like, into their, he, like, really gets into their minds. Like, it's scary, like, almost uncanny how he's, like, he just, like, sort of corrupts Pinkie Pie by, like, being, like, you know, like, oh, well, you know what? Your element, guess what? That it's reversed on you. So what are you gonna do now? And it's like, oh my god! It's like, geez, like he makes like the most like psychologically uncanny surroundings for those characters, and then they just like shrink and they get all creeped out by it. And it's like, yeah,
And
I
then
can see.
oh,
go ahead.
Okay. I said, and then the complaint too is like, how can they reform someone who's so evil, where like he just broke all of them, and it's also that too. So
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to interject.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to bring up that point that, like, you know, there's that whole idea that, like, he just was able to get into their minds and be able to, like, just break them down as people, like, as well, ponies, but people, you know, whatever, characters, whatever word you want to use there. But, like, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up because I could see why they could, you know, they would see them as they could see Discord as a supervillain, because, like, that's what some supervillains do. They, like, get into their foes' minds and just break them down and have them do, well, as TV Tropes puts, the heroic blue screen of death right there. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my last point on that.
Well, approaching it from that angle, I can see it. But again, using the whole troll thing, that's what trolls do too. We look for... As like a guy who used to troll a hell of a lot on the internet, we used to look for anyone that we could easily manipulate, and that's basically what he did. He manipulated them. Even though he had possessed the power to do so, it's still him just manipulating that person to make him do or whatever. Don't feed the trolls, that's all. But anyways, enough about that episode, because it was great, and we can go on and on just about that episode, but we've got others to cover. So now we're going to jump to the season finale, which was Canterlot Wedding. And that episode, from the start, I was like, what the hell? Twilight has a brother? Who is this other alicorn? What have you done? It's like, boom, Twilight's instant brother. Boom, another alicorn. It's like, what?
It's just like, you know, like, add
so,
water.
So going into it, I was like, what the hell? What? But then as it went on, it was like, okay, this is getting good. And then, I don't know about you guys, but when I watched it live, I felt myself on the edge of my seat from beginning to end, just because I wanted to know what the hell is going to happen next. It was just another really, really good two-part episode. I mean, you got the whole thing with Cadence being mean, and Twilight's the only one that can see it. All the rest of the main six, and even Celestia, just see Cadence as, well, Cadence, or Miyamori Cadenza, whatever the hell you want to call her. Pink unicorn thing with wings. But I know I'm rambling.
Way to put it. Yeah.
But anyways, like, everyone except for Twilight thought she was the greatest, and then Twilight's like, no, there's just something wrong. And then she sends Twilight to hell at the end of it, even though it wasn't hell. Everyone called it hell. I'm gonna go with hell. And then it's just like, that was probably one of the darkest moments in, well, next to the latest season, but that was probably one of the more darker moments of the entire show back then, and everyone was just on the edge of their seats just wondering what's going to happen. And then you get into the second part, and the changelings, and Celestia, like, she got pwned. Celestia got pwned in that episode, and everyone... I'm sure everyone, because I know I did, I was just like, holy hell, did that just really happen? And then it's like, oh. and then it, like, it cuts to the next thing, and she's encased in green slime, and it's just like, whoa. It was just so great, like, everything about it, the darkness, it was just the right amount of darkness, and I love that episode so much. What do you guys think?
all right, I'll go first again, I guess. I don't know. If anyone wanted to jump in, but anyway. Yeah, basically, yeah, that was an interesting episode because, well, interesting 2 episodes. Because I guess, like, yeah, you're right. There was a certain dark, like, were a lot of dark overtones to the entire, like, story, like, well, to the storyline, I guess. That just made it, like, seem real. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's, like, the, God, I gotta get words out here. Like, the whole fact that Twilight was the only one to realize that Princess Cadence wasn't the same as she was before. I mean, the fact that she had a past with Cadence, and the fact that Shining Armor wasn't exactly himself because of Chrysalis's spell. I thought that was interesting. Like, it just goes to show you, like, that, there are people out there, or, people out there that are manipulative enough that they can actually, fool everyone else around them just based on, like, their, they take advantage of the limited knowledge that those people have of them, and they just make this, they sort of readjust their impressions of this person that they're sort of imitating. And that's a really interesting sort of lesson to show that, like, you should, I guess maybe you should try to trust people that sort of have a past with what do you call it, with a person. Like, you should trust them and sort of know that, like, maybe if they're saying that this person isn't the same and they're not acting the right way, maybe that's a sign that this person might not be who they're who they seem. But at the same time, like, yeah, I don't know, I love the little dark elements of that episode, those episodes, because I mean, you sort of get this progression throughout the first part, or the first part of the 2-part God, I don't know why I'm having trouble with this one, and I didn't have trouble with the last one. Okay, but anyway, the fact that, like, we have this progression from, everything's really nice, and yeah, Twilight has a brother that we didn't know, but hey, it's a wedding. This is gonna be a nice little 2-part where we're gonna see a lot of happy stuff and all that different, all that's good stuff. And at the same time, we get to see, like, Twilight sort of getting progressively just more nonplussed and sort of, like, just more irritated with, like, how Cadence is being, like, all prissy and all, like, the one part with Pinky trying to teach Cadence all the dances, and, like, she's just like, it's great for a 6-year-old. And then, like, Pinky's like, thank you. And I'm like, oh, yeah. But it's just, I don't know. Like, and then we get to the part where we think that Twilight's just completely messed up, that she's, like, completely fucked up. And she's like, oh my God, I screwed up. And, like, she starts, like, almost bawling after Celestia is like, you've got some thinking to do. And I'm like, oh, damn. Like, that was a part where I'm like, oh, crap. Like, she's done. Like, Twilight is done. Because, like, I didn't know that, like, I couldn't see her coming back from that. Because, like, Celestia was even like, yeah, you're not my favorite student anymore. So, shoot. But anyway, like, once she got dragged down to hell, like, not really, but it looked like she was getting dragged down to hell. But once that happened, I'm like, oh, this is getting interesting. And yeah, pretty much the second part was all just a lot of action, a lot of, like, tension, and just like, oh my God, are they going to be able to get the elements and everything? And I like the resolution that they didn't, it wasn't the main 6 that had to banish Chrysalis. It was, I guess Shining Armor and Cadence who did it, and like the fact that like she was able to break Shining Armor out of the spell that he was, that was cast on him, and that they were able to actually, sort of get rid of all the enemies. I mean, yeah, it's sort of grandiose, but at the same time, I'm able to accept it because like it's a nice, it's a nice resolution. I mean, it's clean, and like I guess, I coming from a background where clean resolutions aren't exactly the best thing, literature and everything else like that. Like basically, I still even enjoyed it despite all that, like all those biases that I had maybe going into it. I still really enjoyed it because, despite everything that that would have made me not like it.
Yeah. What would you rate it?
If I had to put a number on it, 9 out of 10. Maybe there were like, I guess maybe there were some little things here and there that could have been better, but I don't think they would be enough to tarnish my my view of it. It wouldn't be enough to make it like oh my god, this wasn't a good two-parter. It wouldn't drive me to think that at all.
Well, if I forgot to give my rating, so I'll give mine. I said 9.5. It was good. The only thing that I hated about the whole entire thing was the stupid commercial breaks they had with that Tory chick.
Oh god, yeah.
Oh god, that was painful. But she's like interviewing.
Yeah, it was. Oh well, we could get into the whole meme that started from the season 3 two-parter, but we'll get to that when that comes. But yeah. The commercials weren't exactly the best.
No.
Like she gets dragged down to hell, and it's like, "We'll be right back," and it's like, "No,
We'll be right back."
It's like, no, I want to see what happens.
I thought the whole thing with I think her name was Tori. I can't remember. I think it was, but with her interviewing the ponies and stuff, it was just so cheesy.
Oh god, Tori. Oh yeah.
It was like God, just get back to the damn ponies. We don't want you. We want ponies.
Yeah, it was almost as bad as Coronation with Magic Streak here.
Yeah, because she came back for that too. Damn it!
No, that wasn't.
That wasn't her. That was somebody
Miss
else.
America or Miss Universe or something.
It was equally as bad though.
Hasbro and their cheesiness for this stuff. Sometimes their promotions can be overly great. Sometimes it's just like, what the hell were you thinking?
Yeah.
It's like gack. Buy it.
Oh
now.
god!
That's
Don't get it.
yeah. We're not doing that. You're fired. Get out of here. You brought up the unholiest thing ever on this show, so therefore you would be.
Wow. Can I at least get a free gack on my way out, please?
No. You really do. You really do want to
Okay,
die.
I advertised it for you. Where's my check?
Anyways,
Where's my cut?
getting back on topic here because we're way off. KP, your thoughts on the two-parter?
Sure. I didn't want to interrupt anyone, so I was just kind of sitting here. But I'm gonna cheat on this one and just say to watch the Brony Curious Anthony C review of it. It's I think 20 minutes long. It's pretty long, but I feel like Canterlot Wedding is it's one of those big ones in the community, and everything that needs to be said about Canterlot Wedding has been said there, and I'm just Canterlot Wedding. But as is, I'll give a quick definitely. I'm not that toxic tonight, excuse me, but I would say there are a lot of story flaws with it. But as is, I really enjoyed it. I didn't mind Cadence as much as I thought I would. Alicorn Twilight bugs me a whole lot more.
Yes.
Because of just, but I liked it was the thing I think about it's if Cadence is actually Cadence, Twilight would be kind of screwed. But that's about it. I really liked it. It's up there definitely. I like when Celestia was beaten, she was just game over. And I did like the twist at the ending where like they go to get the Element's Harmony and then they don't end up working, or they don't end up getting there, and they have to find another way. The power of love will save the day, which I thought was a good twist. But yeah, but God, I really don't have anything to say. Yeah, I really did like it. I don't mind the flaws that it had, and when I watch things, it just basically, if I don't find anything wrong with it, then there's nothing really wrong with it. And if other people find things, I mean, that's okay usually, but it usually doesn't sway my opinion for the most part.
So if you had to give it a rating, a rating between like 0 and 10,
if I had to get a rating, probably like maybe 8 out of 10.
Nice. Ed, your thoughts?
Canterlot wedding. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, you guys are breaking up kind of bad sometimes, so I'm trying to.
Yeah, we've had some Skype problems in the past, but it sounds fine on my end, and the recording's getting it, so we're good.
Okay.
Ed, your thoughts?
Yes, Canterlot wedding. I mean, my gosh, so much happened. It's like going back what I said, talking about Return of Harmony. Like, I noticed season 2 was pretty much different in tone from the get-go. And that, if it wasn't obvious before, my God, it was very obvious at the end of that finale, because, I mean, so much happened. First, Twilight has a brother. Out of nowhere. What? Huh? Where'd this guy come from? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like, that's one issue that to this day, is kind of like something that kind of bugs me. It's like, there's no backstory prior to that episode. We never heard of him, not even mentioned once. And I think that was something that you could always tell was very much put in there, like kind of forced at the last minute. That's one thing that bugs me. But it's not a huge thing in the scope of the story, but it's just something that kind of nags me. It just bothers me a little bit. Other than that, I mean, like, the whole thing, I mean, Cadence, she was thrown in there also because, the whole, it's okay. She was just thrown in there because, because of the toy line, because they had a new toy, they had her in there. I mean, we know this. But that aside, I mean, I think her character was competent enough, and it was interesting because the whole idea, you have a villain that can shapeshift and take the form of another being like that so perfectly. I mean, obviously she can't mimic their personality because that's one of a kind, but physically look exactly the same. It's creepy and intimidating, and I think it added to a lot of the. It added a lot to her like intimidation factor for Chrysalis, and it was really interesting to see that. I took her really seriously as a villain, and of course the whole thing where at the end, like nobody, like you were saying, like nobody believed Twilight. It's like, oh, you're just taking it too seriously because you're upset that your brother didn't tell you sooner that he was getting married. And like Twilight's the only one who saw, no, there's something wrong with her. And then at the end, like that whole scene where even Celestia's like, you've got a lot to think about. It's like, ooh boy, this is serious. It's like I felt really bad for Twilight. I was at the edge of my seat too, like you, Flutters, and I saw it. It's like, and at the end, it's like, she's like, I'm so sorry. It's like, oh, you will be. And then that ring of fire, so she goes down to the forgotten chambers beneath Canterlot. It's like, wow, this is intense. This is really dark. And then it was to be continued. And I'm glad it was that they were playing both parts of the episode, because can you imagine if that was just like a cliffhanger and you have to wait until season 3 to continue that left off?
Yeah, it could have been like the two-parter at the beginning of the season where they had like a 2-week break, and it's like, oh my god, wait!
Oh my god. Or even worse, if it would have been like 9 months. You gotta wait till November to see what happens. Like, no.
Yeah.
And then
That's for little girls.
Oh my god, yeah.
I think if they'd have done that, there would have been a bunch of bronies on Hasbro's lawn raging.
Oh yeah.
Give us our
It's like,
ponies.
Houston, we have a problem. There's an army of angry, like, teenage and adult men and women outside our headquarters. Yeah, okay, but, like, I mean, and then that whole thing at the end, in the second part, where, like, you had, like, when Chrysalis revealed herself finally, she's like this, she's cool looking, but at the same time, she's just downright, like, ugly and creepy, but at the same time, it's like, what the hell is that thing? It's like a cross between an alien and, like, a freaking dragonfly, and I don't know what the hell else it was. And then that whole part where Celestia's like, no, like, I will defend my subjects. And they get into that whole beam struggle. I got two things in my mind. Number one, this is totally a tribute to, like, Goku and Vegeta at the beginning. It's second. I had to because it's so obvious. Like I swear that they did that on purpose for part of it. And the second thing is I'm thinking, wow. I mean, like Celestia's actually losing this, and when she got knocked out, I was like, oh my god, did they actually just do that? It's like that was a monumental moment in the history of MLP because that's the moment where we realized Celestia is not omnipotent. She's not invincible. She is losing strength over time, and like she is vulnerable. That was the moment I think we all realized collectively as a fandom. Wow, Celestia is not who we made her out to be. She's actually defeatable, and then it just showed how much power like that she got from draining the love of shining armor for Cadence. It just showed like love is a really powerful force. Like literally, it's not just like figuratively we say that romantically. Oh, you know, love is the most powerful thing. No, it literally packs a punch. Just ask Celestia; she can tell you. Yeah. But she was knocked out cold. It's like KO. Like,
I'm still awake.
He's like, no. I just did that for
Totally
dramatic
like
effect.
losing like life draining out of me.
So yeah, no, it's like I totally acted that out, guys. I'm okay. I just wanted to give Twilight a chance now. But
It's like I just gotta walk it off.
I'll be okay. It's only 12 a.m.
yeah, totally. I just didn't sleep well last night. I had a hangover. You know how it is now.
Yeah, partying hard.
Yeah, and then like to close it up, like at the end with the whole scene where like they're trying to get to the elements of harmony and they're surrounded by the army of changelings. That was another reference there, and that was like straight out of like the Matrix Reloaded, where like Neo against Agent Smith. Like that was that Pona fight essentially, because like that was the awesomest scene ever. That was totally a nod for the bronies. That moment there, like season 2 was when that really started happening in the show, especially that moment. And that was one of the most badass moments in the show. Period. To this day, I mean, it was just awesome. I love the one part where like Pinky's there and like it's like, oh, do me, and like the changes into her, and she's like, yeah, I've seen better, you know, that thing. And then we're like the like Twilight's just being used by Pinky as like a machine gun, like it's like oh, that was awesome. I mean, the whole thing was a really solid finale to season 2, and it had drama, action, intrigue, comedy. It had the whole 9 yards. I mean, I give that like a 9.5 out of 10. That's one of the best 2-parters of the show without a doubt. So very much enjoyable.
Yes, very much enjoyable. I mean, there's so much going on. Holy crap, what time? We're getting pressed for time here, so we're going to have to make the next one. Well, we might have to skip another one, but let's see. The next 2-parter, that is the Crystal Empire. It sucked. It was awful.
Oh my god.
No.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I know what I just said, and again, as I say every week, you can address death threats to my YouTube, and I will make fun of you. But no, but seriously, we're moving into the Crystal Empire now. Season 3, which was the weakest season by far, and even the opener was weak because it really didn't do a whole hell of a lot. It just felt really just kind of meh. I mean, we had King Sombra, the ginormous fart cloud. I still call him that. And there wasn't really much that I can say about it that we haven't already discussed, so I'm going to stick with my rating of it of like 7 and move on to you guys.
You know, like I do think we did go over this season 3 opener before, but like, I guess to rehash what I think about it, I thought, yeah, it had a lot of different flaws to it. Like, yeah, Sombra is sort of undercharacterized. I mean, how, like, Gak got more screen time.
Oh, God.
I mean, we just see, like, Sombra, like, my Callisto slaves, and it's like, we'll be right back after these messages. And then it's like, Gak.
Not you two.
What? It's like, what? Why is there so much Gak? Like, I mean, like, what? Did they want... I mean, hell, like, I know a lot about the music community, and I know, like, there are, like, at least, like, a dozen musicians who have just parodied that. And, like, one actually made a parody of Discord, and it was Sombra. I think it was, who was it? Nom, I think it was.
Nom.
And yes, he's not that well known of a musician, but I know him because he came to the room that I manage on Plug.dj. But yeah, like he made a parody of it, and it's like and I think part of the lyrics are that like, how do you feel that like Gak got more screen time than you? Like, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so true. It's so true. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that was one of the problems I had, that like Sombra was a little bit undercharacterized, and like that he was sort of like I said before, like this nebulous cloud of like danger and like evil. Like it felt like, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing, interesting way to come at it, I guess, like an interesting approach. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, we had characters. Well, villains like Discord at that time, who we still had thought he was a villain until about episode 10 in that season, in season 3. Then we see, he gets reformed. But after, like before that, he was one of the villains, and then there was Chrysalis, and then like you had the minor villains like Trixie and Gilda and etc., Diamond Dogs. Wow, well, you could go on. You could list a bunch of different like antagonists that were in a bunch of different episodes. But yeah, he just like he was just this big cloud, and like at the like for some reason that's you, Flutters. Like that's your thoughts on it. But I like really looked at him, and like I'm like, why is his vocabulary so stunted? Like all he can say is like, my crystal says. And I'm like, dude, like it's like, are you okay? Are you thinking, like, are you able to think of anything else except for crystals and enslaving people?
Maybe he didn't pass magic kindergarten, I guess.
Maybe that's the reason. But like, I don't know. I guess though at the same time, like they did, I think recently in the comics, like try to characterize him more. So who knows? But I haven't kept up with the comics, so I have no idea.
Blasphemy!
I know, blasphemy. It's
you're fired.
Take away my bronze badge.
I said I just read the first issue of the Mirror Arc or whatever. Yeah, it kind of killed things. I wouldn't spoil it here though, but
I don't know. Other than that, it was okay. I mean, it was interesting to see a bunch of different like comedic elements in there. Like, I don't know. Still to this day, like, I think one of the funniest parts of that like 2-parter was Rainbow Dash is just like, anyone want a crystal flugelhorn? And like Pinky's like, I want a flugelhorn. And like then she's like, does anyone else want a crystal flugelhorn? And then Pinky just gets all like frustrated. She's like, I want a flugelhorn. And I'm like, oh my god, Pinky. That was like the most frustrated voice from Pinky that I've ever heard. And I'm like, I don't know, like she's not one of my favorite characters, but at the same time I'm like, oh my god, like that was simultaneously like kind of annoying but kind of cute at the same time. Anyway though, it was just like, I don't know, I guess the only thing I got out of that episode in hindsight, or well, that 2-parter in hindsight, was that it was really like heavy foreshadowing for the season finale. I mean, that's the only way I can really think of it now, that it was just like a setup for the season finale, because it was basically Twilight, having to take on this task that was, like sort of beyond her control, but at the same time, like it was, I don't know, it was interesting, just to say the least.
Okay. Your rating?
I think I might give it like probably the same as you, Flutters. I think. Wait, did you give it like a 7.5 or?
Yeah, 7.5. 7.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'd give it a 7.5 too. It was decent, not too bad, but not exactly the strongest one that in the entire series.
One thing that I just came to mind when you mentioned the Pinky thing, because I remember she was dressed as a clown. But all I gotta say is, where can I get one of those Fluttershy shoots that she had? I need one of those.
Oh god! Oh god, that was creepy.
That was awesome.
I forgot completely about that. That was creepy.
Maybe Pinky's kinky in her off time or something.
Oh god!
Oh!
So much.
So much. Whew, I didn't expect that. Usually I'm the one that says something weird like that.
You don't really know me that well, do you?
Apparently not. I've seen enough of your reviews.
I've seen the season premiere review that you did. Yeah, that one part with Discord, like, sort of like, oh god, no. I'll get to that later, though. Anyway.
Ed, your thoughts, and keep in mind we're pressed for time here, so make it quick.
Yes.
That's my turn.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something?
No, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I don't really have much to say. I know from what you guys have already said, other than it was definitely like the weakest two-parter of the show. I thought King Sombra had a lot of potential, but for whatever reason, they kind of gave him, instead of like a regular traditional villain approach, they kind of treated him more like Sauron from Lord of the Rings. Like, it's an ever-present evil, but it's not really like it's there, but it's not really like in your face. It's just kind of like looming. I mean, I don't know. I think they could have gone more into his backstory. I know that they were pressed for time and they only got 40 minutes to work with a two-parter episode. I think they should have fleshed out his backstory a little bit more. Why he was so obsessed with the Crystal Empire and enslaving the ponies there. All we know is that he was banished by Celestia and Luna in the past for, and then there's all this, fanon material about whatever, like he got into dark magic and all that stuff. But like, I mean, it was interesting. I thought he looked badass and pretty cool, his design, but like the way he was executed as a villain was left a lot to be desired. And like the two-parter had funny moments, and it was kind of epic, like Twilight's on her ultimate test, and then before we ultimately find out what that was for later in the finale of the season, obviously. And then, the one thing interesting I want to note is that the room that Twilight and Spike went in at the bottom of that the stairs there that revealed your worst fears. Spike obviously saw himself not wanted in Ponyville anymore. Twilight saw herself failing Celestia as a student and being disowned by her. I like to think that room was used by Sombra as a way to brainwash and torture the Crystal Empire ponies to stay in line so he could keep control over them. I think that's what the purpose of that was. And other than that, like, I love the songs in the two-parter. I mean, I especially love the reprise of the Failure Success song at the end. That was really nice. But yeah, I mean, it was an enjoyable episode, but it could have been a lot better. And I give it I'm in line with you two. I give it a 7.5 out of 10. But it's definitely the weakest of all the two-parters that we've seen so far.
KP, your thoughts on this episode?
Sure, I'll try to keep it as short as I can. I was one of the few who didn't really mind the Crystal Empire that much. I kind of liked it, but I definitely understand the complaints about Sombra being undercharacterized and kind of just there, and Megan McCarthy kind of screwing up as far as the implication about him being Sauron, and then it just kind of all fell apart. But I think it was the moral was the thing about with Twilight was interesting, how like she was there to do a test, and at the end of the day Spike saved the day, and now it comes up to bite us in Equestria Games of all places. But but I really liked, it's like you did what you had to do, like you sacrificed yourself. That's pretty worthy, even though you knew if you didn't, then you were probably going to fail my test or whatever. So that hit me, and I was just like, oh, that's brilliant. But as far as Sombra himself, I mean, he just kind of came out of nowhere. We don't really know anything about the Crystal Empire. Just kind of like, oh, it appeared. That's in time for a test for Twilight. That's kind of convenient. Instant test. But I think they'll probably, I mean, like I said, they already kind of touched with Sombra in the comics. I think they probably won't have a choice for him to touch upon him on the future, especially considering, if they explore the Crystal Empire more, they explore Cadence more as a character. It's there. Just there waiting for them. Why make another Spike episode when you can do an episode about that?
Mm-hmm.
So, but then there's always like, why do another stupid episode when you can do an episode about Dirk being Doctor Who's, and
even though like that's never gonna happen.
So, you kind of have to find a way to tie it in. Good luck, writers, but I'm sure I'm pretty sure it will come up again. I'm pretty sure Samba will get the developments we so desperately desire, just like Discord Discord needs more development just for backstory purposes, and then Celestia and Luna too, and I'm confident, and maybe like it'll be so awesome that it's like that's why he was sucked so much because X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping they pull something like that in the future, but you never know.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to put a rating on it, what would you rate it though?
I enjoyed it, so probably 7 out of 10.
Not bad. We're pretty much all on the same page with that. I don't think we have enough time to cover the next two-parter. So, Mon, do you want to start the
interview?
Interview?
All right. Yeah. All right. So, basically, you do reviews, KP, and
I do reviews.
Well, actually, yes, but that isn't the only thing you do. You actually animate.
Oh, no, I don't.
Oh, you don't. But
no.
But I was gonna. Crap. Well, there goes that. Well, no, but I was gonna say you don't. You don't animate, but you do have an animation that is coming out. That you wrote at least, I think, right?
Yeah, I wrote and directed.
There you go. All right, we're back on track. There we go. But yeah, so. Like tentatively it's titled I don't know if it's tentatively titled or if it's actually titled KP's Secret Project of Awesomeness.
That's not its final name, I promise.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, if I gave you the name, it would kind of give away the
yeah. You gotta keep that a secret. It's
a secret.
Keep it secret just so like it's a huge surprise at the end, but yeah. But either way, yeah, you've been dropping teaser trailers throughout, I guess, has it been the last month or like the last few months? I think it's probably the last few months because
I think I've been dropping maybe verbal hints if you've been paying attention, but the first teaser was probably like mid-April, and then we realized we couldn't get it done by then, and then we delayed it, so probably maybe a month.
Right. Yeah. So about a few months or so. So yeah, but anyway, like I've watched pretty much all of the actual teasers that you've put out. I think I might be wrong on this, but I think there are 3 of them right now.
There's 3 of them. Well, one of them is the sorry, we screwed up the video.
Oh, right,
yeah. To be delayed, and there wasn't actually any content in that. It was just kind of an update video.
Right. Yeah. So so effectively there are really only 2 actual stuff with animation, like the stuff from the actual project that you're okay. So yeah. So like yeah, from what I've watched of it, it seems like an interesting concept. Although I wasn't able to get all that much from the one that actually had like all the voiceovers and everything. I just know that it's like it takes place at I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Ponyville University.
It's Pony University.
Pony University, sorry. I added the Ville because I'm so used to that being in the show. But yeah, Pony University, yeah, because I think I think with that what do you call it, that setting looks slightly familiar, but I think I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it's like
getting warmer.
Yeah, but anyway,
once you see, you'll be like, "Oh, that was it."
Yeah.
I know what it is, but I'm not telling.
No, I think I know what it is. It's from. Isn't it like the one? Words. It's the actual. It's like that university that they showed during the doc. I don't even know if I'm even right about this. It's the one from the documentary that John Delancey was at, and like there was a bunch of what do you call it? they had the whole song that he had or whatever. It seems like it is, but I don't know.
I'll give you a no comment on that.
Okay. There we go. But anyway, to get back on topic, it seems interesting from just even the voiceover version of the the one teaser that you have, because it's got all these different like I guess parts in it. Like I don't know, it was interesting because like I saw from that one teaser, you just see like your OC and like, well, effectively, yeah, your character sort of just, I don't know, like, from what I could gather, your character just like sort of was placed in there without really much of her knowledge, like, well, okay, let me try to rephrase that. Sorry. Work has been tiring me out this week. Okay, so yeah, your character was placed in a situation that she didn't know like maybe she didn't know, either she didn't know or the characters around her didn't know exactly how she got there, or she didn't know how she got there. I wasn't able to exactly glean all of the information from just the teasers, but from what I could tell, like, it was an interesting situation because like there's a lot of like weird, like, this weird,
I think
like,
what you think is happening is it's just me going to different like places, like doing kind of like like one of those cartoon specials where like you jump from like TV channel to TV channel and it's like all differently stylized. That's not it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to piece it together, but yeah, I don't know. It seems like an interesting project to say the least, because I mean, not only is it something where you're sort of you're sort of taking on project sort of to the same effect as some of the other animators out there, like, I mean, Silly Philly Studios, who did like a whole, not full length episode about the snowdrop thing or whatever, but it's it's somewhere in that realm, and it's interesting that it's like
it's coming from me, right?
Yeah, well, not even just that it's like there's not, like, we have some canon characters from the actual show in there, but like, and they're sprinkled in, but it's like the main focus is on totally original characters. And I mean, yeah, Snowdrop to a certain point was sort of that too, but I mean, it's still interesting to see it from that, like, from this perspective, that it's like just a bunch of different things. So I don't know. I figured I'd give you like a form here by a form here just to sort of say what you want to say about that project, because I know you've been working on it. So
it's interesting because I think out of like you guys have seemingly either paid attention the most or been the most interested in just like analyzing what exactly it's about, instead of just like, oh, you're doing a show accurate thing. What? I thought you did reviews. What's going on? So
yeah.
What can I say? The show this video's in parts. So there's show accurate, and then there's regular kind of style video, and then there's the Crown Prince animation, and then there's some more stuff at the end that's in a different kind. Well, I wouldn't say style, different medium, and then at the very end, there's a little more animation there. But so it's not really, the whole thing isn't a narrative. The first animation is a narrative. The Crown Prince animation is a narrative. And then the ending is just the ending. It'll be obvious what it is. But what can I say? It's been taking forever. I learned a lot about project management and working with people, and that's probably why it's taking so long. That, and me being a nitpicky person, and it's like, it has to be perfect. This is my magnus opus. It has to be perfect.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
It's gonna be sprinkled all over the fandom. It has to be like, it's freaking scary, but it's not like there's a reason for all that stuff. Like, there's a reason I chose Pony University,
Mhm.
and that's the place of the narrative versus just, oh, you know, I need a school. What's a school that's around? The whole project has a purpose, and
Mhm.
it's at the very core. It's a little bit of a it's a little bit of a tiny bit of a controversial. It's a kind of an old topic in the fandom that I wanted to shed light on, but just kind of say, sorry, this happened, but here you go. So it's kind of my way of kind of doing something nice for something that happened that went bad. I'm sure you guys might be able to put 2 and 2 together as far as that, but that's all I'll say. So it definitely has it has a lot of my heart in it, and for more than just, you know, my time as far as looking into the animation, it like literally has my heart in it. You'll see, but it's scary for not only because it's going to be shown everywhere on the fan. Well, hopefully, but its main purpose, it's going to be shown. Its main purpose, it's much bigger than just, you know, me wanting to do an animated project, and
Right.
so I don't know if that helps elaborate what it's about, and I guess I'll open up for questions as far as and I'll kind of see if I can answer them or not. But
I mean,
you guys, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, like, I mean, like, I understand that, you know, you definitely have your, excuse me, my throat's getting dry. But sorry about that. But yeah, no, I completely understand the whole thing where, you know, you have your, you know, you've dedicated a lot of time to it, because you know, I mean, most of the viewers out there know already, but I mean, as a guest, you probably don't know. I'm a writer myself. You know, I don't exactly, I haven't written fan fiction in terms of, like, I haven't done a lot of writing in terms of the fandom overall, but like, I do reviews on Alicorn Radio. That's sort of the only real contribution I've ever given to this fandom in terms of my writing. But like with regards to like other projects I've done for school and everything else like that, because I'm a creative writing major, well, English creative writing dual major, so like I completely understand the whole idea of like being absorbed into like doing a project or like a story or like whatever, you know, whatever I'm doing at a time. So like I completely understand that. Like, and I mean, I don't know exactly what the story, what your the story is going to be about for in terms of this animation and like this whole thing is yet, but I mean, to say the least, it's going to be interesting when it comes out. It's going to be nice to see, because I mean, like, and I was going to say that brings me to my next question. And I actually I might have to duck out because I do have to get to bed soon. But what I was going to say, the last thing I was going to say, and sort of ask something on the coattails of that was, I've watched several of your reviews already, and I mean, like, I didn't have the time to actually go all the way back and see every one of them, but from what I could...
Don't look at the early ones. Just
well, there goes... I don't know. I was going to say, I was going to, like, it's like, that's even more reason to go and see with them now, but I...
Yeah, well, it was, like, the very early ones is when I didn't really have didn't really know what my voice was, but they're more straight up analytical than funny, and I think I fail horribly at that. So.
Well, yeah, hey, you probably did a better job than I could do, because I can't even like get like I've tried submitting my own videos to Equestria Daily, like, and I can't animate, so I do all my videos like face, like, with me and my actual face, and it's like they're like, no, we prefer the ones that are animated, and I'm like, damn.
Well, it's not that hard to get animated faces. I mean, it's you know, just like, don't do Pony Creator, but just like hit up an artist like, hey, here's $20, go make me like 5 faces. It's easy.
Yep.
And plus, you know, it's easier as far as the editing process, because then you just have to deal with audio instead of like camera stuff and like lighting and
Yeah. But anyway, what I was going to say was, like, I've seen several viewers, although it's weird. I honestly, before, like, we started doing this podcast, and before I started reviewing on Alicorn Radio, I never really was one to watch a lot of reviewers or a lot of reviews. Like, I sort of just went on without really caring about them. But like recently, I've really gotten into them. I've really just sort of taken to watching different shows and different actual like analysts or reviewers from the community. And I found that, like, out of all the ones that I've seen, you've got one of the most unique presentation styles, at least with regards to, you know, how you've developed your analysis style this season, sort of, like, or at least, you know, within the last, you know, maybe 20 or so videos that you've done.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe.
On hindsight, I'm like, I've done an episode review for every season 4 episode, and there's like 20. It's just great. Oh my god. I worked too hard.
Yeah. No, but it's good. It's a labor of love. But yeah, but what I was gonna say is that, like, even Flutters can sort of go on from this. Like, you seem to have so many references in your back pocket that it's like, oh my god, like, how do you notice this stuff? It's like, seriously, because you brought up that one thing in I think what was it, Three's Crowd, where like you took Pinky's one thing about her saying, like, I was born on a Tuesday, and like you took that and related to something else, and I'm like, wow. I'm like, damn. That's I didn't think about that, but wow. And then the one thing with later in that video where you have like all the references in the song, and I'm like, yeah, that actually fits. That actually makes sense now. But yeah, I don't know. I guess like what I'm trying to get at is like you have an interesting style, and sort of part of that style is like with all the references. So like one of my first questions is like, how did you like compile all those references? Oh my gosh. And then I don't know, I guess the second question that would be like, how did you like sort of develop the style you have? Because like you sort of have like this very I don't know, it's not what I would call random, but it's like very
unique.
It's like organized and chaotic at the same time. It's weird. It's like what Rarity would say, like I think in that one episode. What episode was that? Back in season Sisterhood Social. It's like organized chaos. It's like it's nice, and it's like it's funny at the same time. So I don't know. Like, I guess you could elaborate on that if you want to.
For style, I just. Early on, I realized I can't be the analyst who just sits there for 15 minutes and debates about every little point in the episode. That bores me, to be honest. And there's too many people doing that. I mean, one of the things I learned starting, besides not using Pony Creator, because but don't use Pony Creators. Is that you have to have a unique approach, because if not, you're just going to blend in the crowd. Mm-hmm. So, and then I started putting jokes in just because, you know, I thought they'd be funny, and then I realized that was the appeal for me, the jokes, the humor, then versus just the analytical stuff. But, and then as I realized that, they started to become more fun for me to write. Mm-hmm. And, so, and then I found a midpoint, and by season 4, I was pretty solidified as far as my style. But I don't really know. I have this, like, as far as the references themselves, I have this weird thing, like, when people say something, it like makes me remember. It's like, wait, wasn't there like a scene somewhere else that kind of did something? And that's how I usually that's how the references usually. It's mm-hmm. like usually like I hear animation quotes like in my head when people things say. People say different things. Not really so much when people are just talking to me. I'm not that crazy, but like when I'm watching mm-hmm. things, and especially when I watch them a second time, they're like, "Oh wait, there's this," and plus I know that's part of the reason people come to me is for the humor and for the references and just you know because they think I'm clever, quote unquote. But
yeah, I was gonna because like some of the jokes are just like. Some of them you don't even intend. Like there was the one time I remember you were just reacting to Leap of Faith, and at the beginning you just see like Applejack and Big Mac in the pond, swimming pool or pond, whatever they want to call it. Yeah. Although that's like their swimming pool, basically. But it's like, you're just like, the fuck? And me and Flutters here were just like cracking up at that, because we're just like, oh my god, like that wasn't intended humor, and it was so great. Because it's right there at the beginning. It's like, you're just saying like, oh, I'm just gonna go and react to this, and it's like, what is this?
I had my friend over. We did a sleepover, and then she helped me write the script after it. And like the first shot, like when we opened, it's like it looked like the gayest thing in the world. I'm just like, what is going on? Why do you open an episode like that? And then it's just like, and like Big Mac's supposed to be like this manly man. And he's like playing in the water like a 5-year-old. And just like, what?
Yeah. I was gonna say I didn't look at it that way when I first watched it, but when you brought that up and I looked at it a few times, I'm like, yeah, that is kind of weird. That is just kind of like out of place. Because I mean, like, I can understand AJ doing it, but Big Mac just like going like, it's like, what?
The shippers had a heyday with that.
Oh god. Yeah. That's one of the darker ships, but I don't know. Do you guys want to ask any questions?
I had a few things. Just going back for a second to your project, your secret project of awesomeness. I noticed obviously like you have a lot of some of the other analysts in the community. Their OCs are in there. Like I saw Anthony C. I'm pretty sure I saw Digibrony at one point and a few other folks. What I gleaned from that is it almost looks like it's kind of like a slapstick adventure, or like I got like a mixture of that. It was like kind of like there was a story element there, but at the same time, it almost kind of looked to me like a sitcom. Like they're all at the university. They're like your OC's there. You're getting into antics. I see some of the ponies from the show, like Lyra, Fluttershy, and Daring Do, and all that. Is it based from what little you can tell us? Is it heavily story based, or is it just kind of like a couple of scenes mixed together, and it's just more like a kind of you're going for more of like a sitcom kind of slapstick thing, or is this more of a story driven project you're doing, or what can you tell us without like spoiling too much?
Like, damn it, it is something that's kind of not either one of those, and I can't like spoil it, but god damn it. Anyway, it's going off from what we discussed earlier. Well, damn it, I can't. I'm trying to find a way to dance around this. We got. Well, here's a little bit of spoiler. We got the vast majority of every analyst. We have over 40 puppets in this thing.
Wow.
That's probably one of the reasons why it took so long. And I swear to God, the day it premieres, it's like, why wasn't Mayos in there? I have 20 subscribers.
Oh God.
I've already been getting requests and like from people who want their OCs in there, and they're just like, "That's cute." No.
It's like, yeah, no.
I mean, I had to limit it to like I couldn't like the only people that I let in that weren't analysts or besides my animator sneaking one by, I'm just like, oh, whatever, is the actual animators. They animated their OCs in there. I'm just like, okay, whatever, I don't care. Mm-hmm. Good for you, there's your 15 minutes of fame in there, but it does have a narrative. It's just kind of a quick. Damn it! If I just say it, it's so much easier. But I don't know if I should or not. But most of the analysts don't have any lines. They're mostly there for cameo purposes. The only people who have lines are me. Anthony has a line. Digi has a line. Ink Rose did voices, but she doesn't have any lines for herself. And that's really it. So it's a tribute to something mainly, and then it's also a side tribute to all the analysts. And it's kind of like my way of tying two worlds together. So I'm sure after this is done, there'll be like a lot of. I hope there'll be like all the universes. What happens if the analysts went to Pony University and shenanigans ensue? So That's what I'm hoping for, anyway.
Yeah, that's definitely what I got from it, and I'm really looking forward to it. It looks like a lot of fun. One other question I have, and I want to throw it to Flutters. I don't want to take too much time and give him a chance to ask you something. But my last question is, just as a analyst in general, like Mon said, you do have a very unique style. You're very just chill and funny and just kind of random, and that's what people love about you, and we all love it. But why did you decide to enter into the analyst side of the fan in the first place? What drove you? What compelled you to say, you know what? I want to join in on this bandwagon and be an analyst of the show. I'm going to do it my own way, but I really feel compelled to do it. What drove you to do that?
Well, I've always kind of been a reviewer at heart. Like I've been watching That Guy with the Glasses and just love listening to movie reviews. And I'm more of a critic than actually like once I'm in college right now, and once like my professor's like, write a script, and like, I can review it, but writing is hard. But so it never really crossed my mind to enter the fandom in the other way, and I don't think I'd be as successful and know my shtick as well. Like I tried art, that didn't work because I think I'm a good artist, but I just do traditional art, so it's kind of like people are automatically just turned off by traditional art unless it's like something really, really, really unique. So I kind of learned that the hard way, but either way, that wasn't the only reason I did art, but it was a factor, sure. But so it was a mix of I like if I were to enter the fandom, I'd have to be a reviewer because that's my forte. I didn't really think about it because I didn't know how to edit anything, and then the story basically is I did a Q&A like with Windows Movie Maker, and I just like rambled for like 15 minutes and. Had my traditional OC. I deleted the video. Ew. It was like the worst possible thing. Anyway, I'm sure people are looking back in hindsight like, how did she get popular when she was first starting out? She was shit. I did everything wrong. But where was I going with this? But anyway, and then what happened is I was looking for ways to purify my audio system without buying a mic because I'm cheap, because I realized like, maybe I could do this, maybe I can. So and that was when KeepCon Flutter On came out, and I was like, I have a lot to say about that. I want to defend that episode. That was an amazing episode. So and then I downloaded this program called Camtasia, which is an editing program, by accident for free somehow. I'm like, and then I was playing with it. It's like, I can do videos in this. Oh my god. I can do this. So I like spent like days and days on that first review, and it's one of my longer ones for just like analytical, like 8 minutes long. It's ridiculous, but and then I realized, and then I started getting a little popular, and I realized it was faster than just doing art. So I'm like, maybe I should just do this instead. And then it started picking up steam when I realized that I could be funny instead of just analytical. And then it started really picking up steam with my Equestria Girls review and other one, like the shipping video, the Discord Celestia shipping video, and the because people love shipping. What else? What other ones? And like the original, like off season, I usually do analytical, like just general topics about the series and not just examining episodes, because and I really like off season better anyway because it's more for me to work with than just this episode happened what. But and those videos end up being more popular anyway because people seem to be more interested. But anyway, that being said, I guess and then once I hit a point that once I realized, oh, I'm taking I took like 6 classes last semester. It's like, oh, I don't think I can do this. And then, well, I had the idea for the project like July, and Anthony actually hooked me up with my head animator who's finishing it up now, or attempting to finish it up tonight. But anyway, as far as the animation side. But anyway, and then I just kind of grew from there, and we kind of look back, and it was like, his name is Sean. It's like, Sean, Rachel, remember when you had 3,000 subscribers, and I was the only animator on this project, and this was going to be a big thing, and I'm like, yeah, it's weird to think about now, but I'm rambling anyway. So, yeah, I forgot what the question was.
But no, I mean, we're all glad that you're definitely contributing as an analyst, and like you really have a solid, unique style, and I think it really does make you stand out from the sea of other analysts out there. So we're definitely glad that you're out there making videos the way that you do and keeping us laughing and making us think about things that we might not otherwise have thought of. One last thing is just I remember one of those videos you did during the break between season 3 and 4, you were talking about is Discord Star Swirl the Bearded, and like I never thought that. I always thought the idea was preposterous. Like Discord and Star Swirl are two different characters. I just can't see that. But like I love those videos that you do on the side. Like I love your reviews, but I really love the ones where you just kind of just dig up a topic like that or obscure or whatever and just go on about that. I always find those really fun and just great to watch. Flutters, Grandmaster Flutters, I will leave it to you to ask any questions you have for her before we got to wrap this show up. So, off to you.
I don't really have any questions because you stole the one question I did have. So.
How about I comment on the Discord Star Swirl video? I can talk about the conception for that.
Yeah, sure you can.
Yeah. Okay. Well, basically, how that rumor came about is it was between season 3 and season 4, and that was when John Delancey, like God love John Delancey. One of the things I've learned over time is he reveals things he's probably shouldn't reveal to people just because he doesn't keep involved in the community, doesn't really know any better. And so when he revealed that he was coming back for Discord, the fandom went nuts. And then there's some guy who potentially leaked a script that like made reference to how Discord was Star Swirled, and nobody really, and it was through 4chan, and no one really believed it except the lines were so convincing. And I was like, this is, and then it kind of grew from there, and then people developed headcanons, and that's how those things and it kind of annoyed me because that kind of takes a lot of the appeal out of Discord's character for me, that he's Star Swirled, and I think it's just like, I think somebody would have said something by now if he was. So, especially like with Thieves a Crowd, like I make a joke, you guys have seen it, but I'll just repeat it, like where they're at the Star Swirl convention and Discord's there and no one says anything about the two even being remotely. And I'm like, if they were going to do something, that would be, that was there, that happened. So it ruins a lot of Discord's character for me, and that's probably why I attack it so viciously, especially because it turns out 4chan rumors didn't actually happen. So I respect people's headcanons, you can think what you want, but and then I found a clip of John, like someone asked him that, and it got that far, and then he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I was like, okay, that's good enough for me. Slam that book. And he's like, well, they could write it in later. It's just like, be quiet.
I really don't see him ever writing that in. I think it wouldn't make sense.
And then like the comics came out, and again like this, and then it was kind of like indirectly disproven because like Starswirl and Celestia and Starswirl were on shenanigans after Luna got banished. So, well, if that was after they got banished and after they fought Discord, then I was like, I was right. It feels good to be right.
It is a good feeling when you're right. But anyways, I think we're going to have to conclude this episode here because we are seriously pushing our time limit here. So I just want to take this time to thank you for being on our show. You were an amazing guest, and we're going to make you an honorary member of the Flutter Brigade. So we're hoping that we can bring you on for future shows at some point because we really loved having you on. And to our YouTube viewers and to our Alicorn Radio viewers, you should definitely check out her videos and reviews if you want a good laugh, because she does bring a lot of humor to her reviews, and she has that very unique style. So definitely check out her YouTube and of course I'll be putting links in the description and all that stuff. But until then, we will see you next week, everyone, and thank you and good night.